Pre-Utopia, quote, thoughts and language are creative aspects of being, tools for transforming reality. To take advantage of the fabulous magnitudes of real wealth waiting to be employed intelligently, we must give each human who is or becomes unemployed a life fellowship in research and development, or in just simple thinking. Man must be able to dare to think truthfully and to act accordingly without fear of losing his franchise to live. Buckminster Fuller. The evolution of our species has been developing for over 1 million years. After the antediluvian civilizations faded from memory, it took humans around 4,000 years from basic tools to produce advanced technology. While physical technology is pretty well integrated into the advanced societies today, the next frontier will be the interface of computers with the human mind. Imagine the inventions to come and what the future entails. Futurist Ray Kurzweil predicts a singularity point no later than 2045, a point when computers will surpass humans in every way, and the world will change more in a decade than it did in the previous 1,000 decades. Technological evolution is no longer the issue. We will be evolving our minds. Within our lifetimes, it could be possible for humans to contemplate spiritual self-realization, levitation, telepathy, and astral projection, with the potential to explore every galaxy and even experience time travel. The possibilities are endless. The masses are entranced by a world of facts, encyclopedias, television, and newspapers, along with the multi-dimensional anomalies such as crop circles and UFO sightings. Yet, none of these has penetrated our plane of existence with any sort of validation. When this penetration occurs, changes beyond what any of us can conceive of will begin to manifest. Let's just say that in our wildest dreams, we cannot presently conceptualize where the earth is headed. We only need to clear the roadblocks that inhibit a mass awakening, and then the spiritual evolution innate within each of us will begin to take over. In the near future, there will be no room for hate, ignorance, fear, greed, control, money, boredom, or loneliness. Only love, peace, charity, and compassion will encompass people's emotions. Fear is a prison, and only love is the exit. We will become one with everyone and everything. No pain and no hurt. Nothing will stop us. Before we learn as a species to truly thrive and leave not a single person behind, there are some techniques each of us can employ in order to become more complete persons. Some are rather new, others are very ancient. For starters, keep calm, seek wisdom, and embrace the moment. Remember, we are eternal. All of this pain is an illusion. If you think we are not capable as a species to change, just consider how much our attitudes on racial relations have changed in America over just the last few decades. Only 60 years ago, the southern states of the U.S. were still being terrorized by the Ku Klux Klan, and racial segregation was the norm in the South, not the exception. In the name of racial intolerance and hate, a network of terrorist organizations, which had Freemasons, Mormons, Christians, and corporate business leaders amongst their ranks, terrorized African Americans and others for over a century. They also advocated extremist white supremacy, including hatred towards Jews, that largely went unprosecuted for their crimes. Today, the KKK has been marginalized and brought to justice for committing crimes, and racial equality has become the spoken goal, if not yet entirely the norm, in this once largely divided nation. Social changes on a macro level are very possible within one's lifetime. That is, if we can start by envisioning change to all of the currently flawed systems. A utopian society must begin first in our minds. All is one. Humans are all connected biologically to one another and connected chemically to the earth. But what about our connection to the universe? Modern physics tells us that the universe is a unity, that it is undivided. Though we seem to live in a world of separation and difference, physics tells us that beneath the surface, every object and event in the universe is completely interwoven with every other object and event. There is no true separation. We are truly one with each other, the planet and the universe. Not only is the universe defined by unity, it is also defined by love. The universe is the same one that both Albert Einstein and Jesus were speaking of in their very different ways. This new picture of reality will emerge gradually. Reality is too vast, too complex, and too irreducibly mysterious for a full picture of it ever to be absolutely whole. But in essence, the big picture will illustrate the universe as evolving, multidimensional, and known down to its tiniest particle by a higher force, a creator or God, to just name a few of the terms used by humans over the millennia. Our planet is delineated by borders, divisions, and territories. Countries are competing for limited resources, economic domination, and religious superiority. We have war and extreme poverty. Let's zoom away from the planet for a moment. Compared to the universe, our entire solar system is but a few grains of sand in the Sahara Desert, and this little planet is our only home. Yet we are recklessly polluting and exhausting our resources. We are allowing our species to breed out of control, and by doing so, strangling other species out of existence. Plastic waste in the oceans has grown larger in size than small countries with no comprehensive strategy in place to stop it. Industries that are harming our planet are so powerful they can prevent or slow down cleaner technology for the sake of short-term profit. Governments, justice systems, and the media are all influenced by self-interest groups whose actions often conflict with the well-being of humankind. Obviously, the world is replete with many good people, but as a whole, we are contributing to a system that is fundamentally broken. We are going down the wrong path. So, how can we reverse these ominous trends and create a more utopian world? Let's first start by looking within. A world of truth. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is an illusion. Don't be deluded into the belief that fear and anger have any place in our lives. Indeed, such reactions are knee-jerk habits. Free will means we can notice our painful reactions and choose different reactions. The choices we elect to make with our emotions are just that, our choices. The key lies in noticing habitual responses that do not serve us any longer and choosing love instead. True love knows no space, no time, and no boundaries. It is infinite. Because there is no limit, only the mind builds boundaries. As we ascend, we gain consciousness of the more subtle aspects of our being and begin to connect with all that is. In the simplest terms, consciousness equals energy, love, awareness, light, wisdom, beauty, truth, and purity. When you relinquish the need to mastermind the labyrinth of your existence and reach deeper to the level where you can feel rather than think and know rather than believe, you will have arrived at the place where you can create a reality in which you truly move forward. Quote, "For small creatures such as we," wrote astronomer Carl Sagan, "the vastness is bearable only through love," end quote. Compassion and love are necessities, not luxuries. On our current trajectory, humanity cannot survive much longer. There should be somewhere upon earth a place that no nation could claim as its sole property, a place where all human beings of goodwill, sincere in their aspiration, could live freely as citizens of the world, obeying one single authority, that of the supreme truth. This would be a place of peace, accord, and harmony, where all the fighting instincts of man would be used exclusively to conquer the causes of his suffering and misery, to surmount his weakness and ignorance, to triumph over his limitations and incapacities, and a place where the needs of the spirit and the care for progress would get precedence over the satisfaction of desires and passions, the seeking for pleasures and material enjoyments. In this place, children would be able to grow up and develop integrally without losing contact with their soul. A utopian model would practice the laws of consistency, which allows for children to receive all new information when it is known. Nothing is ever withheld, and every tool that is available to one is available to all. Education would be given not with a view to passing examinations and getting certificates and posts, but for enriching the existing faculties and bringing forth new ones. Each generation will build upon all that is known to the previous generation. When a child becomes an adult, titles and positions will mean less than the opportunity to serve. Each and everyone will be provided for equally. In this utopia model, intellectual, moral, and spiritual superiority will find expression, not in the enhancement of the pleasures and powers of life, but in the deeply satisfying fulfillment of increased duties and karmic responsibilities. Artistic beauty in all forms, painting, sculpture, music, literature, will be available equally to all, and not exclusively to those with social or financial clout. Artists will be encouraged to flourish with the opportunity to share in the joys they bring. The flame in an artist's heart is the beginning of a fire that will transform the world. It is in this ideal place that money will no longer be the sovereign lord. Money will cease to exist. Individual merit will have greater importance than material wealth and social position. Work would not be for the primary purpose of gaining one's livelihood, but would be in the means to express oneself, develop one's capacities and potential, and while doing service to the whole group. In brief, it would be a place where the relations among human beings, formerly based almost exclusively upon completion and strife, would be based on cooperation and collaboration for the greater good, thereby fostering relationships of true respect and brotherhood. Once this flourishes, the rest of the world will follow. We all stand on the threshold of a great adventure, and the extent to which each of us experiences the fullness of that journey is determined by the extent to which we let go of the scenarios that no longer serve us. Until we incarnate once again. Someone asked the Dalai Lama what surprises him the most in the world. Man, was his answer. Quote, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die. And then he dies having never really lived. End quote. Happiness can always be found, even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Just like the ancient adage says that the world is our mirror, so too this applies to health through happiness. If you show people light, the dark doesn't seem to matter anymore. A lot of the pain that we deal with exists only in our thoughts. Someday we will all transition out from our bodies. Death should not be feared, only understood. Sometimes we must forge ahead through darkness to understand and appreciate the light. Terence McKenna summed up the subject succinctly. Quote, nothing lasts. That's one thing you learn from life, psychedelics, or just paying attention. Very little lasts. These Buddhists aren't kidding. You are here for a very brief moment, and you can sit on your thumb and do whatever you want, but in fact, the clock is ticking. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to blow it off or be a hedonist? What are you going to do with that? If most people took it seriously, a hell of a lot more would be done with more attention to quality and intent. And they're always talking about this stuff, intent. I always thought death would come on the freeway in a few horrifying moments, so you'd have no time to sort it out. Having months and months to look at it and think about it and talk to people and hear what they have to say, it's kind of a blessing. It's certainly an opportunity to grow up and get a grip and sort it all out. Just being told by an unsmiling guy in a white coat that you're going to be dead in 4 months definitely turns on the lights. It makes life rich and poignant. When it first happened and I got these diagnoses, I could see the light of eternity, a la William Blake, shining through every leaf. I mean, a bug walking across the ground moved me to tears. End quote. In our pursuit of a utopian scenario on Earth, humans will only need one commandment. Do unto others, including non-human others, as you would have others do unto you. According to that one rule, people could do whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want, according to their desires, as long as they do not harm others. Violence, fear, and anger will no longer hold a place in people's emotions. Besides, it is in your best interest to banish anger from your emotional toolkit. Anger and intense worry devitalize the bioplasmic body so much that the body becomes susceptible to all kinds of diseases, whereas the love emotion recharges the body. The physical arises from the subtle. Formless gives birth to form. Your thoughts, leading a seemingly vaporous existence, have more power over you than you think. Love of the spinning galaxies. According to a story called The Love of the Spinning Galaxies by an unknown author speaking on behalf of a higher consciousness in the universe, our highest purpose is to master ourselves and co-create heaven on earth. Most of us have heard this calling and have decided to incarnate within the last few decades in order to be alive when a great transformation takes place. This is what we are watching unfold right now. Those of us who responded to this call will go to a place of planetary evolution where the illusions of fear and separation are strong teachers. There is a calling to those with the needed talents and gifts to act as peace emissaries on this troubled planet, to lift and transform the frequencies of Earth by simply embodying and anchoring love's presence there. In the spinning galaxy story, we will each be the creators of a new reality, the reality of the golden octave. On other journeys, each of us has proven to be a feeling navigator, able to awaken our consciousness and align our heart to the promptings of pure love and compassionate service. As sun runners and torch bearers, each of us have already demonstrated that we will hold the light high. And so the story invites us to incarnate en masse among the tribes of Earth to assist Gaia and all her children in their transformation. In this scenario, it is part of the plan that we are all veiled in forgetting. However, as each of us remembers the feeling of childlike innocence and trust, we will become the harmonic leavening during this cycle of initiation for Earth. We will each incarnate strategically, often in some of the most vibrationally dense areas of the Earth. To some, this illusion of separation from love may create feelings of hopelessness, lack of support, and alienation. But by embracing our humanness, the love we embrace will transform the depths of duality, and our light will quicken the many. Each one of our choices to participate on this quest is purely voluntary. However, it is important to remember that this transformational shift on Earth is very rare and precious. Should you choose to accept this mission, you will have the opportunity to catalyze and synthesize all that you have been doing during your many incarnations and receive a rarely offered quantum leap in consciousness. It is up to you to choose how you will dance with Terra Gaia and her children as she completes this ceremony of light. And so it was that the luminous beings of spinning galaxies, those who form the countless alliances, federations, and councils of the faithful of the stars, who choose to incarnate on planet Earth to assist in this critical event, the awakening of the planetary dream. There was even a fail-safe process built into the plan to awaken these beings from the illusion of separation and the veil of forgetfulness that is so rife upon Earth. The luminous ones who would journey to Gaia's assistance agreed to spark each other's remembrance. Thus, these star-seated ones were encoded in many ways with sounds, colors, lights, images, words, and symbols, a vibrational resonance that would assist them in remembering their commitment to the light. It was agreed that these coded clues would appear everywhere, in visionary art and music, in penetrating looks, and in speech and feelings, all creating a deep yearning to awaken and become the embodiment of love. So spoke the Creator, the love of the spinning galaxies, enticing each of us to reach for our highest calling. So it is that you, the children of earth, are now being bathed in the waters of remembrance, prepared as rainbow warriors to fulfill the promise of the new and ancient myth. By simply anchoring love's presence on earth, we each lovingly draw down the mantle of the gods, sending waves of healing and love throughout Gaia's eagerly receptive body. As you emerge in this time, your gifts awaken and you empower others. Utilizing the tool of laughter, song, dance, humor, joy, trust, and love, we are each creating the powerful surge of transformation that will transmute the limitations of the old myth of duality and separation and birthing the miracle of unity and peace on earth. In this parable, we are each encouraged to utilize our human gifts on behalf of Gaia. In a supernova of consciousness, Gaia and her children will ascend in robes of light, forming a luminous light body of love, and to be reborn among the stars. This mythic call has been sounded. The great quest has begun. Awaken, rainbow warriors, luminous beings from the galactic alliances, federations, and councils, ancient skywalkers newly formed in the moment. Stand in the beauty and power of your true identity as love's unconditional gift to Gaia. Set aside self-doubt. We are each the divine children of the sun. Go where your heart draws you to share your great gifts. Surrender to the magic and the light. The miracle will be manifested on earth. Remember, we dance and sing here for the one heart. Breaking free from prison planet. Here on earth, there are so many different life forms, self-aware or not, all with their own needs and self-driven agendas. None are evil, none are good, none are more special than any other. All just are. On the other hand, we certainly would not want to meet extraterrestrial visitors that treat lower life forms in the same manner that we humans treat lower life forms. Consider the concept of how we as one species farm other species for our needs. But in doing so, we also look after their needs. When we farm cows, we provide protection from predators, fresh food and water, and cure their diseases. They seemingly get a better deal than if they had to exist in the wild. The terrible truth of the ET situation is inherently this scenario. How do we accept that we are a created, modified, and farmed species ourselves without losing our minds? The elite are nothing more than installed and appointed overseers of the farm whose main concern is to maintain the integrity of their bloodlines. If anything, their brief is to increase our numbers, which they did via the use of creating and controlling whole civilizations. Despite the notion that humans are a universal parasite, others feel this planet is precisely and intentionally created the way it is, and that is a kind of prison planet. According to this view, the reason we are here, our souls that is, the real you and me, is to prove to ourselves what we are made of, and we cannot do this in a perfect utopian world. We need sharp duality to grow and change. The majority of the UFO-related and utopian esoteric information is contained in a companion to this book, Future Esoteric, The Unseen Realms. So there is no reason to reopen this material. But in the context of who we currently are on this planet, in our pre-utopian state, it does need to be mentioned that there is a malevolent ET presence on Earth, and these entities have been here for thousands of years. Also, there is a benevolent ET presence with which we have a very strong connection for some reason. We are fortunate to have the so-called good guys looking after us in a non-interventionalist kind of way, and they are helping us rid ourselves of the malevolent archonic influences. Although we are not slaves per se, we are being manipulated on several different levels by the malevolent ETs, yet we have also benefited from them. How else do you think that we humans were able to come from horse-drawn wagons to a secret space program in less than 60 years? The only reason we accomplished this is because we were helped. Even Dr. Herman Oberth, the father of modern rocketry, once said, quote, "UFOs are conceived and directed by intelligent beings of a very high order, and they are propelled by distorting the gravitational field, converting gravity into usable energy. There is no doubt in my mind that these objects are interplanetary craft of some sort. I and my colleagues are confident that they do not originate in our solar system, but we feel that they may use Mars or some other body as a sort of a way station. They probably do not originate in our solar system, perhaps not even in our galaxy," end quote. This comment was apparently made sometime in 1954, and it is consistent with the following Herman Oberth quote from the American Weekly of October 24th, 1954. Quote, "It is my thesis that flying saucers are real and that they are spaceships from another solar system," end quote. In a statement to a group of reporters after his retirement in 1960, he was quoted as saying, quote, "We cannot take the credit for our record achievement in certain scientific fields alone. We have been helped," end quote. When a reporter asked him by whom, Oberth cryptically replied, "The people of other worlds." Into a new era. The higher energies are here, even though it may not seem that way. These energies are molding and forming us into the pure states of being that we're always intended to become. We can each enter and facilitate the collapse of faulty systems because we each carry light. Comedian Bill Hicks puts our new era into perspective. Quote, "Wake up, people, it's time to evolve. That's why we're troubled. You know why our institutions are failing us? The church, the state, everything's failing. It's because they're no longer relevant. We're supposed to keep evolving. Evolution did not end with us growing opposable thumbs. You do know that, right? There's another 90% of our brain that we have to illuminate. We are the facilitators of our own creative evolution. We are the imagination of ourselves," end quote. When we lose our compassion for those in need, when we cast aside our capacity to care, when we ignore the plight of our fellow humans, then what is lost? Quite simply, they are qualities that once allowed each of us to rise above, and the virtues that once made us human. The greatest discovery of our generation is that humans can alter their lives by changing the attitudes of their mind. As we think, so shall we become. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant inventor who worked with technology to improve life for all people. His ideas often came from moments of pure inspiration. His imagination and creative capacity was such that he was able to envision how his inventions would work before he even drew any plans or diagrams. This was possible because Tesla had developed both left brain and right brain thought modalities early in life and continued to nurture both as he lived. He described his abilities, quote, "Inability to accept the mystic experience is more than an intellectual handicap. Lack of awareness of the basic unity of organism and environment is a serious and dangerous hallucination. For in a civilization equipped with immense technological power, the sense of alienation between man and nature leads to the use of technology in a hostile spirit, to the conquest of nature instead of intelligent cooperation with nature." End quote. Our senses enable us to perceive only a minute portion of the outside world. Our hearing extends only to a small distance. Our sight is impeded by intervening bodies and shadows. To know each other, we must reach beyond the sphere of our sense perceptions. We must transmit our intelligence, travel, transport the materials, and transfer the energies necessary for our existence. Nikola Tesla attributed his amazing inventions to his sense of receiving information. He said, quote, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core form which we obtain knowledge, strength, inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." End quote. Reintroduce Tesla technology. In the 1890s, Nikola Tesla revolutionized the world with his inventions in practical electricity, giving us the induction electric motor, alternating current, radio telegraphy, wireless remote control, fluorescent lamps, and other scientific marvels. It was Nikola Tesla's polyphase current, the alternating current, or AC, not Thomas Edison's direct current, DC, that ushered in the modern technological age. Tesla did not rest on his laurels, but continued to make fundamental discoveries in the field of energy and matter. He discovered cosmic rays decades before Millikan, the radio before Marconi, and was an early developer of X-ray, cathode ray, and other vacuum tubes. However, Nikola Tesla's most significant discovery was that electrical energy could be made to propagate through the Earth and around the Earth in an atmospheric zone called the Schumann cavity. It extends from the planetary surface to the ionosphere at about 80 kilometers altitude. Electromagnetic waves of extremely low frequencies in the range of 8 hertz, which is the Schumann resonance or pulse of the Earth's magnetic field, can travel with virtually no energy loss to any point on the planet. Tesla's system of power distribution and his dedication to free energy meant that his system could be tapped by anyone in the world with the right electrical device correctly tuned to the power transmission. The Wardenclyffe wireless system was planned to be the first broadcast system transmitting both signals and power without wires to any point on the globe. Tesla's concept of wireless electricity was to be used to power ocean liners, airplanes in flight, run industry and transportation, and send communications instantaneously all over the globe. Because of a dispute between J.P. Morgan and Tesla as to the final use of the tower, Morgan withdrew his funds. The financier's classic comment was, quote, "If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter?" This threat to powerful interests in their distribution and sale of electrical power was too great. Tesla's discovery of collecting free energy for the Earth itself resulted in the withdrawal of financial backing, ostracism from the scientific mainstream, and the gradual removal of his name from the history books. Having had the status of a scientific superstar in 1895, Tesla was virtually a non-person by 1917, limited to performing small-scale scientific experiments in virtual seclusion. Nonetheless, he knew the truth could only be delayed when he said, quote, "Throughout space there is energy, if kinetic, and we know it is for certain. Then it is a mere question of time when men will succeed in attaching their machinery to the very wheelwork of nature," end quote. Tesla even demonstrated driving a large car powered wirelessly and with no emissions. In the summer of 1931, Dr. Nikola Tesla road tested a luxury Pierce Arrow sedan fitted with an 1800 RPM AC electric motor and powered by a receiver tuned to tap energy from the ether. He drove in and around Buffalo, New York with his adopted nephew, who gave accounts of the test drive after Tesla's death. Had this technology been advanced, improved upon, and scaled up, there would be not a single tailpipe emission today. Science for peace. It is important to be reminded that science is morally neutral. Since scientific knowledge is cumulative, albeit morally neutral, it gives the illusion that history and human progress are also cumulative. Science and technology merely serve the ambitions of humankind. Unfortunately, there are a few scientists who look beyond the narrow tasks handed down to them by corporations or government. They employ their dark arts, often blind to the consequences, to cement into place systems of security and surveillance, as well as systems of environmental destruction, which will ultimately result in collective enslavement and mass extermination. As we veer towards environmental collapse, we will have to pit ourselves against a multitude of experts, scientists, and technicians whose loyalty is to institutions that profit from exploitation and death. A rational world, a world that will protect the ecosystem and build sustaining economies that allocate fairly, will never be handed to us by scientists and technicians. Nearly all of them are allied with the energies of exploitation. Unscrupulous people of science will relentlessly push forward, exploiting and pillaging, and perfecting their terrible tools of technology and science until their creations turn upon them and us. And now it seems that if they cannot have complete control over us, they will try to destroy us. The system, run by greedy individuals, makes nuclear bombs. Their operations extract oil from the tar sands. They turn the Appalachians into a wasteland to extract coal. They serve the evils of globalism and finance. They run the fossil fuel industry. They flood the atmosphere with carbon emissions, doom the seas, melt the polar ice caps, unleash the droughts and floods, the heat waves, the freak storms, and hurricanes. Whether we choose to recognize it or not, after the Second World War, Auschwitz in Poland and Hiroshima in Japan became monuments to the incredible devastation humans and technology together can bring about. As hopeless as it may seem, there is a way to turn it around. The revolution hinges on a radical change in consciousness. The change has begun through many modalities. Together, through social media, for example, we can influence world leaders and industries toward improving the world instead of degrading it. We know this will work because history has repeatedly shown us that leaders and industries must follow public opinion or else they fail. The creation of a legitimate global democracy has already started online, beginning with social media. This can also be the way we can express our opinions, concerns, and votes on important issues. Someday, with this system, we can do away with the unrepresentative government, eventually end the money system, and even end working for a living. The great inventor Buckminster Fuller, who died in 1983, before the internet age, had this to say about the fallacy of society's priorities. Quote, "We must do away with the absolutely specious notion that everyone has to earn a living. It is a fact today that 1 in 10,000 of us can make a technological breakthrough capable of supporting all the rest. The youth of today are absolutely right in recognizing this nonsense of earning a living. We keep inventing jobs because of this false idea that everybody has to be employed at some kind of drudgery because, according to Malthusian Darwinian theory, he must justify his right to exist. So we have inspectors of inspectors and people making instruments for inspectors to inspect inspectors. The true business of people should be to go back to school and think about whatever it is they were thinking about before somebody came along and told them they had to earn a living." End quote. There are numerous scientists who continue to work in labs across the country on weapons systems that have the capacity to exterminate millions of human beings. Is this a rational enterprise? Is it moral? Does it advance the human species? Does it protect life? Scientists need to take an oath towards only doing good, similar to a doctor taking the Hippocratic Oath, swearing to do no harm and practice science ethically and honestly. You are just a visitor here. Dhamma Vadaka, or Shravasti Dhammika, in his dry wit, says he is not the 5th or 9th reincarnation of a great Lama, nor has he received any empowerments or initiations. He says he is not the holder of any lineage or has yet to attain any of the jhanas. The jhanas are states of meditation where the mind is free from the 5 hindrances: craving, aversion, sloth, agitation, and doubt. Dhamma undoubtedly has some words of wisdom here regarding our impermanence. Quote, "Remember always that you are just a visitor here, a traveler passing through. Your stay is but short, and the moment of your departure unknown. None can live without toil, and a craft that provides your needs is a blessing indeed. But if you toil without rest, fatigue and weariness will overtake you, and you will be denied the joy that comes from labor's end. Speak quietly and kindly, and be not forward with either opinions or advice. If you talk too much, this will make you deaf to what others say, and you should know that there are few so wise that they cannot learn from others. Be near when help is needed, but far when praise and thanks are being offered. Take small account of might, wealth, and fame, for they soon pass and are forgotten. Instead, nurture love within you and strive to be a friend to all. Truly, compassion is a balm for many wounds. Treasure silence when you find it, and while being mindful of your duties, set time aside to be alone with yourself. Cast off pretense and self-deception and see yourself as you really are. Despite all appearances, no one is really evil. They are led astray by ignorance. If you ponder this truth always, you will offer more light rather than blame and condemnation. You, no less than all beings, have Buddha nature within. Your essential mind is pure. Therefore, when defilements cause you to stumble and fall, let not remorse nor dark foreboding cast you down. Forgive yourself. Notice lessons learned. Be of good cheer, and with this understanding, summon strength and walk on. Faith is like a lamp, and wisdom makes the flame burn bright. Carry this lamp always, and in good time, the darkness will yield, and you will abide in the light." End quote. Pursuit of happiness. Any talk of utopia has to include a contented and positive-minded populace. A way for us to get there is to look within and activate our higher selves. Any master will tell you that the ego is a wonderful thing to lose. Think beyond yourself, because this life is yours to live in charity, compassion, and wisdom. Align yourself with the higher emotions and banish the negative ones. Focused thought is the key. Take the power to choose what you want to do and do it well. Take the power to love what you want in life and love it honestly. Take the power to walk in the forest and be a part of nature. Take the power to control your own life. No one else can do it for you. Take the power to make your life happy. Just by living in a positive state of mind greatly reduces your risk of illness. You were born with all the unique abilities, knowledge, and talents you need for your mission in life. You do not need to compare yourself to anyone else. Be a source of joy and let the critics and the haters complain about the world. Choose and direct yourself to be peaceful regardless of what is happening outside you. Just be yourself and start shining. What you focus your attention on activates a vibration within you. Even the thoughts others have of us affect the thoughts we have about ourselves. Once again, the intricate network of interconnectivity shows itself to be very, very real. How can we control the vibration that sustains our pursuit for happiness? Just be yourself. There is something that you can do better than any other. Listen to the inward voice and obey it as being yours alone. You are a living magnet that has an output of vibration and energy. What you attract in your life is in harmony with the dominant thoughts. In short, do more of what makes you happy and do not be fooled. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success.